Yo, what's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Figured we would do a little live stream, try to find some bets. So I'm going to go ahead, share my screen. There is a ton of lines out there. So we're going to find some plays. So let's get into it without further ado. So we'll start out on PrizePicks because why not? And we're going to be looking at this Fantasy Optimizer. So Fantasy Optimizer is a pretty simple tool. Really, all it does is it points out line discrepancies. So let's wait for it to load. My Wi-Fi's a little slow, but regardless, so you can see here, right? This betting tool just points out line discrepancies. It's literally just like scanning through all these different sports books, PrizePicks, Underdog. So this play looks absolutely horrible. But again, I'm not going to win every bet, whatever. So let's go back here. So if we take a look at League of Legends, Underdog Fantasy has Krista's line at 10.5. Well, it looks like that may have moved already. So we got to move quickly to get in on some of these good betting opportunities. So you're going to see Underdog Fantasy already pulled it. We're literally day trading the sports book, taking advantage of inefficiencies. So like, here's another example of a pretty good play, right? Esports, there's so many games. Sportsbooks literally can't keep their lines in check for esports, right? June Gia. Underdog Fantasy has his line at 8. PrizePicks has his line at 9, right? So again, like this is valuable information as a sports bettor. I follow a very data-driven approach. Even if you follow other strategies, you like watching sports and, think you can beat the market with your sports knowledge, you're obviously going to make more money if you're finding value, if you're finding plays with an edge. So without further ado, we can kind of start getting into some of these picks. So this play we can go with on PrizePicks. So if we look here, we can see Yosemite. So this is a Valorant play. And again, like I don't care what I'm betting on. I mean, I've said this before, but if there's value in esports, all the bets on esports. You're going to see there's some WNBA bets, right? Like, as a sports bettor, you're like an investor. Wherever there's money, wherever there's plays with an edge, you should want to bet, right? You got to think about this like investing. And again, what makes sports betting so interesting is the market is so fragmented, right? And by that, I mean like, you can see, did PrizePicks already move this guy? No, I didn't mean to search Valor, and I wanted to search his name, Yosemite. We got Yosemite. His line is 28 on PrizePicks. Underdog Fantasy has his line at 30.5, although they may have moved this, so we can kind of reload it right here. And it looks like they pulled that down. So Underdog Fantasy is moving lines pretty quickly, but let's just reload this real quick and start looking for some plays on PrizePicks. So it looks like some of these lines are moving pretty quickly. So Yosemite, or should we start in the WNBA? So if we go over here to the WNBA, so this tool is just the sportsbook screen. It just kind of shows you, for whatever market you want to look at. So this is WNBA player points, and then we can search for Wheeler, just where all the different sportsbooks are posting lines. So you can see here, this play on Erica Wheeler actually looks really good on Underdog Fantasy. We're actually getting more value than PrizePicks. So you're going to see on Underdog, they have Erica Wheeler's line at 11, right? 11 points. ParlayPlay and PrizePicks. Again, all these books set lines independently, right? That's what makes sports betting so interesting compared to day trading. You think about day trading, the market is pretty, like if you go to Fidelity, E-Trade, Charles Schwab, Robinhood, you're going to see the price of Facebook is 301.64. Maybe there will be some differences in the fees these platforms charge, but the market is very efficient. You're not going to get these major gaps. Whereas in sports betting, so let's go back here. Let's actually head over to Underdog Fantasy. Whereas in sports betting, again, the market is very inefficient, right? All these books, they all want to be unique. They're all setting lines independently. So you get big discrepancies like this one, right? Underdog Fantasy has her line at 11. We have the 3 other fantasy sites, ParlayPlay, PrizePicks, and SportsBattle with her line at 10.5. And then FanDuel, another data point. Again, this is all data points to us as sharp bettors. You're not going to create a better model than PrizePicks or FanDuel, which are billion-dollar companies. that have invested millions of dollars in their ability to set lines. A lot of people think the way to beat sportsbooks is create some model that can predict the future, tell you who's going to win games. No offense, FanDuel has thousands of employees, tons of engineers, better data feeds than you. You're not going to outmodel the sports books. The way you beat the books long term is you find these inefficiencies in the market. So let's actually start here and let's get moving. So we'll take Erica Wheeler under 11 points. You can see that's actually the top play if we go to Underdog Fantasy on the Fantasy Optimizer. So that's pretty cool. And then we can look at Jewel Lloyd. So we can go here. So again, like you can kind of just go down the fantasy screen, take all the plays in green. But I kind of like to, look through the data a little bit more and just take a look and try to zone in on what I think the best plays are. So this play seems pretty dang good as well, right? Jewel Lloyd, why is OddsJam, why is the Fantasy Optimizer recommending it? Again, like you look at Jewel Lloyd, or if you look at Jewel Lloyd, so let's actually pull up Lloyd. I'm trying to move quickly because, again, the great best betting opportunities are not going to last forever. So let's pull up Lloyd. We want to take her under 32.5. And again, like the whole thing that you need to realize is most of these lines are not profitable, right? PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy have thousands of lines, right? So you look at Jewel Lloyd assists, PrizePicks, Underdog, they both have her line at 3.5, right? 3.5 assists. So there's no discrepancy. There's no value in the market. As sharp bettors, we're obviously looking for value. We're looking for discrepancies, right? And that's what OddsJam is helping, point out to you. So anyways, we got a couple plays. What else do we want to go with? Sexy. Here we go. Nope, maybe not that one. I mean, there's tons of line discrepancies maybe we can take advantage of. We got some NFL in the mix. We got a bunch of plays in the mix. So we can go here and let's see what we want to look at. So what about Brianna Stewart assists? So let's go back here and let's go to assists. So maybe we have a full WNBA play. So we can take a look at Brianna Stewart. This play's sexy, man. Underdog Fantasy has Brianna Stewart's line at 4 assists. PrizePicks, all these other books, 3.5. Betano, they have the under as the favorite outcome, right? So Betano's model, I think this sports book is Canadian or Latin American. I don't know. I've never placed a bet on it, but it's still a data point. Even though you may not bet on a sports book, it's still valuable information to see where they're setting the line, right? So this is beautiful, right? Beautiful. 3 unders, WNBA. We're going to hit the crap out of this. We got Wheeler under 11 points, Lloyd under 32.5 PRAs, and Brianna Stewart under 4 assists. Again, on Underdog Fantasy, they're giving you a 6x payout for 3-pick entries. You look on PrizePicks, they're only giving you 5x, right? These things matter long term. So that's why on Underdog Fantasy, you're mainly going to see me going with these 3-pick entries. So anyways, we have an absolutely beautiful play right here. So maybe we go ahead, lock it in. If you want to tail. So let's take a look, and we hit it, right? So there we got our first 3-pick entry. So we bounced over to Underdog Fantasy because, again, that's where the value was, right? You can see on the sportsbook screen some really good plays in the WNBA. You may not like watching the WNBA, but if you like money, you should be betting on the WNBA. Again, like you want to be betting where there's inefficiencies, where there's value. I'll give you an example. Sleeper is a sports book I actually like a lot. I like their layout. I like all that stuff. But literally, there's no profitable bets on this platform, right? There's almost never profitable plays on this platform. So I'm rarely placing bets on Sleeper. But anyways, let's go back to Underdog Fantasy and start taking a look at the data. And maybe we can find another play on Underdog Fantasy, or we can bounce over to PrizePicks. Again, all these books, they all set lines independently, which is why you want to have as many of these platforms as possible. It may seem like a pain. I mean, some people are like, man, I got to sign up for multiple sports books. But again, like it's different when you're a day trader or something like that. So let's share my screen. So again, like when you're day trading, the price of Facebook is basically going to be identical on any platform you're trading on, right? But as a sports bettor, all these books have vastly different lines. They all have all these new user promos. Literally takes 2 minutes to sign up for Hot Streak. You should have done it last month because their sign-up bonus was a $200 deposit match. Now it's down to $100, which is obviously worse. So again, like here we go. So let's go back to Underdog Fantasy. But again, you want to have more sports books because you want to follow the value. If you're just using Sleeper, well, sorry, that sucks because there's not much value on Sleeper. You want to use as many of these platforms, ideally as possible, as a sports bettor. And again, I'm just showing you the books I'm betting on. Maybe you have access to them, maybe you don't. But long story short, wow, we have a lot of plays. There is a lot of esports. Getting a little overwhelmed here. So maybe we make a little 5-pick entry. So again, on Underdog Fantasy, like I know for some people who understand this, it may be a little bit of a recap, but on Underdog Fantasy, right, this is a platform where any 3 picks you select, you're getting a 6x payout. It doesn't matter if you take over, under, over, under, over, under. So there's really 2 ways to beat Underdog Fantasy. You either find where they have a line inefficiency. So again, like we locked in Jewel Lloyd under 32.5 PRAs because all the other books had our line lower at 31.5. But the second strategy, for finding an edge on Underdog Fantasy is you can look for spots where sports books have one side of the market heavily favored. So as an example, if you look at Dane Dunning, so let's pull him up right here, right? DraftKings, all the sports books have his over heavily favored, right? Every sports book, this is DraftKings Sportsbook. You're going to see that's why the Fantasy Optimizer is recommending this play. So we can start building another play on Underdog Fantasy. Then maybe we'll go back to PrizePicks. But if we look here, we'd want to take Webb. Nope. So we'd want to take Webb under 5.5 strikeouts and Dunning over 1.5 walks allowed, right? Is on Underdog, they're not changing our payout based on us selecting over versus under. All the sports books are telling us, hey, Dane Dunning is a lot more likely to give up over 1.5 walks as opposed to under 1.5 walks. So we want to take his over on Underdog Fantasy, right? That's why the Fantasy Optimizer right here is kind of pointing out this play. But anyways, let's go here and let's take a look at what else we got. So again, like this is a great side hustle, but like as an example, Jewel Lloyd, I already placed a bet on Underdog Fantasy. They only allow you to bet $250 per WNBA player per day. So I'm not going to be able to bet either of these picks, right? So that's why I always say, like, I love sports betting. It's a great side hustle. But again, it's not something that, like, is going to make you a billionaire because these books, I mean, you'll see right here, if I put in an esports play, Underdog Fantasy is saying, yo, maybe you can see this. Your max bet is a hustle. And it's not something, you're going to make $1 billion off of. It's a fun, profitable side hustle you can do anytime. And again, that's another benefit of sports betting, right? Always sports going on. Always value in the market. So again, Yosemite player. PrizePicks has his line at 28. Underdog Fantasy has his line at 30, right? And then you can see SportsBattle, another data point. We treat all these books as data points. They have Yosemite's line at 29. So we want to take the under. Underdog Fantasy has their line too high, right? And maybe, so some of these plays, like you'll see here, like here for this play on Yosemite, we have 2 data points, right? There's SportsBattle, PrizePicks, and Underdog Fantasy. DraftKings doesn't have esports lines. They don't have them. So that's kind of a benefit, or that is kind of what sucks when you're betting on esports, is there's just not a ton of books posting lines. So sometimes it's a little harder to see who's, the side screwing up. But in general, it seems to be Underdog Fantasy is the side compared to PrizePicks. In other words, PrizePicks has sharper lines than Underdog Fantasy. Like you'll notice Underdog Fantasy, moves a lot of these discrepancies first. So we can see this play on Jewel Lloyd. Oh my God. So what we can do is we can go here. So if we look at this player, Wonderful, Underdog Fantasy has his line at 37. You go over to PrizePicks, and again, you got to move quickly. PrizePicks has his line at 41. Like you'll never see this in the WNBA, in the NBA, right? You'll never see Luka's PRA line is 37 on Underdog Fantasy, 41 on PrizePicks. The markets are just so inefficient, right? It's literally insane. So what we can do is we can take advantage of these inefficiencies. And what you can also do is we can start to build a middle. So you can middle this. So what middle means is, damn, it looks like they already moved Wacko. So you can see I was trying to bet Wacko over 14. Underdog Fantasy already moved the line. Thanks, guys. So if we go here, we can go to FPSS over 31.5. So again, like it looks like esports lines are starting to drop. But again, these really good betting opportunities, they're not going to last forever. So you got to move quickly. So here I got 5 picks on Underdog Fantasy. So we'll go ahead. We'll lock this in. But what was I going to say? Is one strategy you can implement is called middle betting. So like, for example, you can see Underdog Fantasy has Wonderful's line at 37. So what you could do is you could take the over on Underdog, the under on PrizePicks, and if Wonderful has 38, 39, or 40 kills, you're going to win both bets, right? You're going to win your under 41 on PrizePicks because there's this massive inefficiency in where books are setting the lines. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's lock in this. And you can see they just locked it. Talking too much. I was literally a second away from placing that bet, and these little they ended up moving the line. So we're gonna have to find something else, which is a little annoying, but you know, just how it goes sometimes. So what do we want to take? What is a beautiful play that we can go with? So again, like here you can see it's just a lot of inefficiencies. I mean, PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy in general. Maybe Aiden O'Connell over 112.5. PrizePicks, ParlayPlay have his line a bit higher. But let's just go here to June Gia, and we can take him over 8. And that will finish out our slip. So here we have 2 baseball plays, right? And then we have a Valorant play, a CSGO play, and a League of Legends play. And then we can lock it in, 5-pick entry. Again, on Underdog Fantasy, 3-pick entries or 5-pick entries are generally what I'm playing. For 5-pick entries, it doesn't really matter. You can either play it with insurance, without insurance. Really, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to play mine with insurance. And then we'll go ahead, we'll lock it in. And again, like you want to place as many bets as possible as a sharp better. If you're a good poker player, you don't go to the table. And if you're dealt 2-7, you just walk up and leave. Again, Underdog Fantasy has max bet sizes of like $100 when you're betting on esports. So even if you had like a 30% ROI on Underdog Fantasy, if you're only betting 1 bet a day, $100, that's $30 in profit margin per day. But again, what makes sports betting so amazing, so fascinating is one, the market's always open, right? There's always sports going on, right? So sports books, lines are always moving, lineups are changing. Sportsbook models can screw up, get out of sync with each other. That's opportunity for us as sharp bettors, right? But another thing that's great about sports betting is, I mean, you can do it from home, which is obviously great. But another thing that's great is you got to remember, like in general, we're betting on games that are today or within the next like 24, 48 hours. Sometimes maybe not during NFL season or with golf. But even if you can get a 1% profit margin on your bets, 1% ROI daily on your bets, that's 30% ROI over the course of a month, which is absolutely insane if you think about it. Back here, and maybe we look at PrizePicks quickly. We've been doing a lot of Underdog Fantasy. You can see this play on Jewel Lloyd is still available if you want to hit that. So we can take a look here. I mean, there are a lot of plays out there. Erica Wheeler, we already bet her under 11 on Underdog, whatever. Man, there's just a lot of discrepancies that you could middle bet. Again, take the over on the sports book with a lower line, the under. I mean, there's a lot of discrepancies. We could literally sit here all day and place a billion bets, but maybe we don't do that. So we can check out Jock Market. Jock Market, not, you know, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of value right now. SportsBattle, I've included all my refer a friend codes for these different sports books below. Again, the more books you have, the better. More books, more betting opportunities, more promos, right? More promos is obviously better. So if we take a look at Courtney Williams on SportsBattle, points plus rebounds plus assists. If we take a look at this top play, Courtney Williams, OddsJam is recommending we take over 21.5 PRAs for her. I mean, that play seems pretty good. PrizePicks, Underdog, ParlayPlay have her a little higher at 22. Maybe some value there. It's recommending the same play on Jewel Lloyd. We got some tennis plays in the mix. Yeah, there's a lot of plays out there right now. So maybe we go back to PrizePicks, or maybe we go to Underdog, or maybe we go to PrizePicks. I'm not sure. Sometimes it's overwhelming. You know, you got to know how to move quick. Some of these lines are going to move on you. It sucks when a line moves on you. So this play looks beautiful on Underdog Fantasy. So again, Underdog Fantasy, you know, it seems to be where the value is, right? So look at these lines, right? Hannah, his line is 5 on Underdog Fantasy. We have 2 independent data points, PrizePicks, ParlayPlay, who are posting his line at 4.5. So we want to take his under. Then we have Maple over 11.5. PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy. Also, we have positive correlation, right? When you're betting on esports, you want to take a player over and then a player on the opposing to go under. Wow. So again, you can see this middle is starting to disappear. These inefficiencies are starting to go away. Maple's line is 13 on PrizePicks, ParlayPlay. Underdog Fantasy has his line at 11.5. OddsJam's not doing anything complicated. It's literally just pointing out these discrepancies to you so you can make some money. So then we can go to Christica, under 10. So again, on Underdog Fantasy, this slip is actually beautiful. But on Underdog Fantasy, because betting players on the same team both to go under is positively correlated, we're not going to be able to do that. Did I already bet on Jewel Lloyd under 3.5 assists? Oh, I'm not going to be able to rebet Jewel Lloyd because I already hit the max cap. So let's go back here. Let's refresh this briefly. And then we need one more pick on Underdog Fantasy. You know, what do we want to go with? I mean, Jazz Newsome over 23.5 receiving yards, whatever. Maybe we could go with that. Or we can take a look at, or maybe we take Logan Webb again. So again, like for MLB, my betting limits are 250. I only hit it in the last play for $100. So I'll be able to bet this again. Positive correlation on both the esports plays. So this was definitely an Underdog Fantasy focused live stream, but whatever. Hopefully it was helpful. A lot of good bets. Day trading these freaking sports books to make some money, taking advantage of inefficiencies in the market. Hopefully it was helpful. I'll probably be back on later, but I'm going to get some lunch.